The emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Citizens are advised to take the following steps. If exposed, remove clothes. The emergency broadcast system.
Podcast for the curious mind. I don't know what that means.
Broadcasting live from a Chinese-made microphone high atop Sioux Nation. I am with Michael Clemens joining us. Duo show today. So apologize to you, Mike, in advance.
Oh, that's great. I'm ecstatic to be here.
No, not about you being here. Just how I'm going to ruin Free Willy for you for the rest of your life. I apologize for that. That's
well, I am a big fan of Free Willy. So
yeah, well, it's going to be over now. Apologize for that. First of all, a bunch of crazy stuff going on. I don't know about you, but I'm sort of done with the alien talk for a while.
Yeah.
You take a little break from the alien stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, after Flat Earth Dave, you just got to step back and breathe for a moment, don't you feel?
Yeah. Just bring it back to like your roots, like, okay, let's get grounded a little bit, like
all the people that come up to you and feel like you believe in a flat earth, Now, be honest, Mike, have you told anyone that you talked to a flat earther?
Oh yeah, it's a great conversation. I love the conversation. It's for me. It's hearing the different perspectives is great. There's a lot of good ideas in it, but I still think the Earth is round.
It's the amount of hate I got when I said I was going to do that episode was pretty outstanding. All right, but that's not what we're talking about. We're done with flat Earth for a while. Done with the aliens for a while. I'm exhausted. There's more important things going on, like submarines that have man, you've heard all about this Ocean Gate submarine.
Oh yeah, the one that imploded, not exploded.
Yes. And there are countless memes right now from it.
Yes, there's that's one thing that we can count on other humans for being is creative people, right? Like we are a creative bunch.
Have you seen any of these?
I've seen a few. Yeah. I've seen. There's one with George Floyd's name on it. Like that was
the passengers in the sub. The sub is George Floyd. It's very
yeah. There were some good ones out there.
I mean, do you feel like there is a very strong lack of pity for these people, because who was it? It was the owner of the company, and then it was these two billionaires, Hamash and Suleiman, and then one of the billionaires' son, and then the pilot or captain, the guy that floats the thing. Those were the 5 people that died. So it just doesn't feel like people really care that much about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a billionaire dying. I think the next question is, okay, well, who's getting his money? Like, where's his assets and things going? When it comes to the owner, it's like, okay, well,
it's sort of fitting that the owner died. Am I wrong?
Yeah, go down with the ship per se, right? If one of your ships is going down, you'd rather be there going down with him.
Yeah, I feel like that part's fitting, at least. Like at least the guy that created the whole thing. But this thing was made out of, what was it, carbon fiber?
Yeah, and controlled by a PlayStation controller,
PlayStation 3, a PlayStation, and knockoff one, not even a real one. And I watched the video, and the guy was saying, well, we wanted to make it super hip for the young people. So that if they wanted to come and they would have some 25 to 30-year-old who is all excited, like no one's going to want to go and do it for, some 50-year-old guy being the captain of your ship. But at the same time, it's like, what 20 to 25-year-old is going to spend $250,000 on a ticket to go see the Titanic? Like, what is the graph being like? What is a percentage of people that can afford to do that.
One's searching for the heart of the ocean.
It's- the writer and producer of The Simpsons went 4 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is something that, like, not only is once, but I mean, it was so enjoyable. You want to spend another, what, 750,000 to go on it 3 more times?
Yes.
Like, wow.
I mean, that means he spent $1 million just going to the. I mean, he's probably thinking right now, like, the odds worked out in my favor here.
Yeah, like that is very interesting. It's like, what's down there that would make you want to keep, like, going down there? Is it, is it the natural, like, explorative, like, ambitions that we have? Like, did he just want to explore, or is there something down there that, like, like business opportunity down there,
Well, do you think that it gives you the same rush as jumping out of a plane and parachuting? Or like, those what are those flying squirrel dudes that do all that crazy stuff? You know what I'm talking about? The jumpsuits.
Oh yeah, where there's, like, really, I mean, yeah, they have parachutes, but their parachutes are more for, like, backup, aren't they? Like,
yeah,
they like kind of just glide through the sky.
I mean, they're not gliding though; they're like flying. They're like they're
control
moving.
falling. Yeah,
like, put me in one of those things with gravity, I'd be going like 900 miles per hour, just.
But we don't know a whole lot about, like, the ocean. I mean, we know where the Titanic is, so we're selling trips down there. Like, this is, the first that I've heard of this opportunity of, like, hey, but then again, if somebody's like, hey, you want to spend $250,000 on a ticket to go see the Titanic, I'd be like, well,
at what price would you feel comfortable paying to go see the Titanic? Like, what price range would you feel like, what, it may be a little expensive, but it's worth it to go see the Titanic? What's that price range look like?
I don't know. For me personally, it's I'm totally fine with seeing it on camera. Like, I don't.
No desire to go take a look at it.
No.
If you knew there was no way you could die whatsoever, 100% foolproof, safe, no chance of dying, and then at what? I mean, like, would you go see it then?
I don't know. I guess, yeah. I mean, if there was no chance and I could afford, the money to go and see this in person, it would be interesting. I think I would, there is some interest in going, but it's, to me, I'm looking at this like $250,000, like, that's a lot of money. So for me, like, it would be like any trip. I would spend, $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah, all inclusive. Have to have drinks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably not a PlayStation. Probably not a PlayStation controller. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to find. I want. Okay, calm down here, buddy. What dog is barking right now?
They are going crazy.
Is that time of the year? Okay, so this Titanic. Did you hear about how they found the Titanic?
No.
Okay, so I just learned this. Of course, this would be Titanic history 101 from TikTok. So, just take that with a grain of salt. But according to TikTok, how they supposedly found the Titanic was originally the military was looking for 2 lost nuclear submarines. And they had lost them in the 60s, and they had just found the, like, sort of rough coordinates of where it would be. And so they hired a company to go and find these submarines, but they didn't want the Russians to know that they had lost 2 nuclear submarines back in the 60s. And so it was billed as a we're going to go look for the remains of the Titanic. And the guy that was in charge of that exploration, when he found the 2 nuclear submarines, he had 12 days left to find the Titanic, and then that's how the Titanic was found. So it was under the guise to fool the Russians that they were looking for the Titanic the whole time, when in reality they were trying to locate these two lost nuclear submarines. Anyway, it's been all over the news, and then it's just like all this. Like,
well, they couldn't find them at first. Like at first, they thought that they were going to just like pop up. And when you think of a submarine, you think like, okay, well, my first initial thoughts was like, what's preventing this thing from coming back up? Like, and is later on, I learned that they were working with some disposable sand that didn't dissolve.
No, so the design of this thing is very cheap, but it did have these sandbags that deteriorated over a set period of time, and then once they fell off of the rails, it would automatically, the buoyancy of the thing itself would float to the top. Right. So that's why they knew it sort of had imploded, because it never rose to the top at all. So it had to have been just crushed. Like you watch those steel barrels where they put them in and then they flatten themselves.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking happened. Not an explosion, but still, like, pretty much instant death.
Yeah. It'd still be scary. I mean, anytime that, like, I'm sure they had warning. That
you think they felt it?
Maybe for a split second, but
yeah, right. Not very quick. I'm going to show you some of these videos. Can you see that on your screen there?
Yep.
Yeah. There's just, it's endless on TikTok right now.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Right? I would be like, how are you controlling it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just, here's an interesting example of implosion. There you go. Now it's interesting because they said every single time this thing landed, they lost communication for up to 6 hours.
Wow. Like, is it normal to lose communication for that long?
They said that one guy, I forget what his name was, from The Simpsons. He said it happened every time, and he went 4 times, and they were fully prepared. That's why they didn't call the Coast Guard right away, because they figured they just lost communication. And the whole reason why they couldn't actually radio into the ship is because the guy was like, that's such a horrible experience, having to tell your location all the time, people interrupting you as you're in the middle of something. So he's like, we're just going to put a GPS in the tail and you can just ping us. But that's what they lost. They lost the GPS of them.
It's like a rich person's bungee jump.
Well, and it's sort of it's sort of interesting. Like, there is a very much people find humor in it far more than they this is a thing of it here.
Coming into the sub, this is the only toilet available on a deep diving submersible. Best seat in the house. You can look out the viewport. We put a privacy screen in, turn up the music.
Man, my butt would be hanging through that curtain.
Very popular. We have our control screen here, our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back. We've taken a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all done with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back, turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep it.
Yeah, I don't think he knows much about controllers.
This is the second year we've been out to the Titanic. We went out.
And they've been doing this for quite some time. I think since 2019, 2018.
My dad going down.
They were doing it.
So they're pretty experienced in what was happening. So they had like a big boat that this was dropped off in then. Oh, okay.
Yeah, here's a video we can watch here. This sort of shows what it actually was on the inside.
Let's look inside the missing Titan submersible.
Okay.
The Titan fits up to 5 people who have to sit due to a low roof. The pilot tracks position, oxygen levels, and communications via video monitors, and uses a video game controller to steer. This section swings out as a door and has a roughly 20-inch window that lets passengers see outside. And there's also a small toilet in the front with a curtain. Let's look inside the missing Titan submersible. The Titan fits up to 5 people who have to sit due to a low roof. The pilot tracks...
Nobody's eating Taco Bell the night before.
Yeah, I guess. Right. This here's this guy. This about the safety.
His game controller. He uses rusty lead pipes from a construction industry as ballast. There were things that seemed sort of unsophisticated, and of course I brought this up with him, and he said, "Yeah, that's true, but these are just bells and whistles. The part that keeps you alive, the part we care about, is that carbon fiber cylinder and the titanium end caps that he designed in conjunction with NASA, and that," he said, "is buttoned down." I was
buttoned down.
I mean, I'm not thrilled when anyone dies, but at least he died with the ship. You know what I mean? Yeah. The owner, the guy that created the whole thing and designed it. You know, at least.
Like, does this mean that the business is gone too? Then,
you know, they're debating on who to sue.
Right? Like, because that's what I'm thinking too. Because that's usually when, like, somebody's got to claim responsibility or be responsible for what happened. But if the owner's there, then it's kind of the business is still responsible. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the next steps are.
They said what has been concluded as of now is $1.2 million in damages from like having to get the Coast Guard and the Canadian Coast Guard and having to get the all the ships to try to salvage it, because I think they had like 15 ships out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because somebody's got to pay for all those resources. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I'm
business insurance.
Sort of curious as to who these guys were. The Hamish, and I forget the other billionaire's name. But have you heard of that conspiracy about the Titanic, about the 4 people that were on that ship that were really wealthy, and after they died, they pretty much gave them a green light to go to create the Federal Reserve?
Yeah. Rockefeller and the Rothschild. Yeah, that's how they. There was one person hanging them up from switching to that type of banking, and
happened to be on the Titanic.
Yeah, and they all had a ticket, right? I think that's what where this conspiracy theory started, but like all of them ended up canceling their ticket or their reservations, and the only one that ended up making it was this one person that was hanging them up from making this centralized, or the banking the way it is.
That's the same thing with when the Oklahoma government building got bombed. Remember, there was like that daycare there, and none of the CIA kids were there that day.
Right? Yeah, they didn't. They were all family vacations.
Yeah. Well, it was that time of the year, I'm sure. All right, but here's the thing. What brought this all on? Because obviously you saw the photo art for the show.
Yeah, of course.
The orca holding the 45. So I don't know if you've heard anything. Oh, go ahead.
Give us back our waters.
There's a crazy thing going on with killer whales right now.
Oh, really?
Have you heard anything about this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'll share my screen here. Pull it up and give me one quick second, because I'm I'm slow on the handle. But what's been going on is they have been attacking ships in Gilbraltar. Now, what made me think about this is this whole submarine thing's been going on for what, 5-6 fucking days. You know, and however many 96 hours of air they supposedly had. And I remember reports on, what was it, Wednesday, of them hearing banging sounds every 30 seconds. Did you remember hearing anything about that? That was reported. And at one point, I was just like, man, you know, I think everyone was sort of hoping like, hey, they could pull them up, obviously. And then, you know, Thursday came and we realized that the ship or the submarine had imploded. And the Navy comes out and goes, yeah, we knew 4 days ago. That's what happened. We heard it. I don't know if you heard this timeline at all. Have you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the Navy came out and said, oh, yeah, no, we heard that. Heard the implosion. I was like, well, they must have had like something nearby. And then I started looking into it, and they have all sorts of sonar systems that they have planted throughout the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you plant, you know, little microphones everywhere along the trade routes and stuff? So if something happens, it's going to report back, you know, to the grid, and then you can send a couple of ships out there to investigate it. I guess
of course.
But I never thought about it until that moment when the Navy's like, yeah, we heard it 4 days ago. So they picked it up on one of their devices that they have sitting at the bottom of the ocean.
Well, I thought when they were reporting it, wasn't it like real time? Like this was lost and they only had like so much oxygen? Because I think I remember hearing that they had like a total of 72 hours of oxygen.
Yes.
Like because it recycled, or the machine in there recycled the carbon dioxide and turned it back into oxygen. And they had, it's a maximum of 72 hours. Yeah.
96.
Or
96 hours. Yep. No, you're right. That's what I mean. That's what they led everyone to believe. But the Navy had heard the thing implode 4 days prior to everyone else finding about it. And then once it got reported that it happened, the Navy came out and said, oh, yeah, we knew 4 days ago.
Yeah, that kind of messes up or jars the timeline a bit.
Right. So if the Navy knew, they just didn't want to say anything. They figured, we'll just let.
But why not say anything? Like, hey, you know, yeah, we're patrolling the waters, and you know, something happened. There was an implosion, or you know, did you have any vessels over there? You know, because if something were to happen, you know, and we as civilians report things. You know, we report them to them. I mean, you would think it would be a two-way street. Maybe not. Obviously not.
Well, obviously not. Obviously, they just maybe the news. Maybe because they asked James Cameron, and he said his naval friends had leaked that intelligence to him. So obviously it wasn't that big of a secret if they're telling James Cameron. So James Cameron knew, and he told his friends, so all of his friends knew. So then that, you know, was it that the Navy didn't want... It's such a weird flex to come out and be like, yeah, we knew that 4 days ago.
Right? Like, what's the point of saying, yeah, we knew that already?
Well, and then it made me wonder about what type of surveillance devices they have, you know. And then I heard this story, and this has been going on. Well, this has been going on for a while here. Let me pull up right here. This story right here. These orcas off the Iberian coast, which is, you know, the Strait of Gilbraltar.
Yeah.
Right. I know it from Call of Duty days.
I've been through the Straits of Gibraltar.
Okay. All right. So, you know, oh, really? That's sort of cool. Did you get to see it, or were you stuck in the bottom of the ship?
I was, okay. Short story. Yes. I was stuck in the bottom of the ship, restricted maneuvering. So I was an engineer. So it would have been great to see it, but duty calls.
How important? Now, I mean, I don't know if you were all into a war strategy or, you know, all that stuff. But how important is the Strait of Gibraltar?
It's pretty important. It's how we get to the Arabian Gulf, is through the straits. But it's a very narrow path, and the waters are a lot shallower than they are in the ocean. So we
So, like, I mean, if you were trying, I mean, because like in every world war, there's been a war there because that's what allows access it, right?
Right. Yeah. There's nothing going in or out like mainstream, but through the Straits of Gibraltar.
Okay. So
in that area, yeah.
That's where these events start happening.
A small group of orcas is causing a lot of damage to boats off the Iberian Peninsula, raising questions about why the orcas are doing it. Stephanie Tsai looked into it and has this report.
In the middle of the night last October, Artur Napoleão was sailing miles off the coast of Portugal to deliver a boat to a client.
What a great job.
Right? That would be fantastic. That to be like your regular scenic route is, the straits, the ocean.
Right. Just enjoy the Strait of Gilbraltar. All right. So he's that's his job, delivering boats to clients.
As a professional skipper and sail instructor, it's a journey he's taken many times before.
At 4 o'clock a.m., it was my turn to go sleep. So I went down, I start taking my nap, and 30 minutes later, boom.
He ran up to the deck to find the boat surrounded by a pod of orcas.
This is PBS.
And let me just add in this. When it comes to time, sailors know their time. Like, we keep logs about everything, temperature, like your equipment, how it's running, what everything's like. So, for me, when I hear him say, 4 a.m., I'm like, I would say that that's pretty spot on to roughly where the right time.
Obviously, I mean, like this guy is just, it's like a trucking route, pretty much.
Yeah.
But okay, so
they messed around for 5 minutes, and then they went to another boat, more far away from me, like 1-2 miles.
See, so first of all, I think that's sort of weird, right? Like they come in, hit his boat a couple times, and then they're like jet out to another boat that's 2 miles away. Like they're purposely hunting boats.
Yeah, because he doesn't say like, oh, they're hopping in the water, like, so they're not accidentally hitting these boats. So they're seeking out these boats and hitting them.
All right. Keep watching.
But the pod returned, not once, but 3 times, the visit spanning over several hours, well after sunrise.
I got really scared until I see the orcas and see their movements and how gentle they were when I stopped the boat.
That was also interesting.
Yeah.
So they're super gentle when he stopped the boat, and he emphasizes that.
In the past 3 years, hundreds of boat and orca interactions have been reported off the coasts of Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. According to the Spanish research group GTOA, in 2022, there were 207 reported interactions in the Strait of Gibraltar alone. The strait is a narrow waterway that separates Spain and Morocco, and the meetings are not always gentle. Just last month, killer whales surrounding a boat sailing through the Strait of Gibraltar were met with loud noises, an attempt by the crew to scare them off. The pod rammed the boat continuously for over an hour, managing to remove the rudder. With seawater gushing into the boat, the experienced crew of 4 issued a mayday call and were eventually towed to shore unharmed. In another recent instance off the coast of Spain, 3...
I'm guessing that these are ancestors of Willy, and these checks just stopped coming in. Like people are they're still buying this movie. Like, there's still money coming in. They need their checks.
It's the real writer strike.
3 orcas repeatedly struck a yacht, causing it to sink entirely after Spanish Coast Guards rescued the crew on board.
We have lots. We are having one incident every day, in average. Okay, there are days that we have 2 or 3.
To better track these events,
Are these
2 or 3?
That's crazy. Like, are these fishermen? Like, I mean, are they taking the fish and that's why they're, you know?
Well, it's just yachts. Like yachts and sailboats. Like pleasure vehicles.
These are our water.
Rui Alves started this website last year to log orca.
I see on his thing it says, "Buy me a beer."
I didn't notice that.
This guy creates a website so you can report if the pod is attacking a certain area.
It connects a network of sailors who share geographic locations of sightings and attacks along the Spanish and Portuguese coasts. This map shows incidents reported just this month.
So for me, it was the idea, if you spread the word about something that happens in an area, people will avoid that area. Maybe they will keep the boat and say, I don't sail today because there are many orcas at that point. I will sail tomorrow. Or maybe I will go in other direction.
Orcas living near the Iberian Peninsula are a distinct subpopulation and a critically endangered one. But why these orcas are repeatedly damaging boats is something experts are trying to understand.
All right, so this is the part where I find it interesting. All right, so you got these killer whales. I mean, to me, that seems like a large number, doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah, that's 207.
Just this year.
That's crazy. So,
and they've sunk 3 boats.
Jeez.
And it started in 2020.
So they know what they're doing.
Yep. All right. So now this is PBS talking to experts, trying to see if maybe there's something they got.
One theory making the rounds: revenge. Some scientists believe an orca named White Gladys suffered a traumatic injury from a boat and may be teaching other orcas how to attack similar vessels. But Monica Whelan-Shields, director of the Orca Behavior Institute, says that kind of activity would be uncharacteristic of the animals she studies. Play is a more likely explanation, she says.
It's just not something that we've seen for whatever reason. They're the top predator in the ocean. They're capable of attacking and killing, all kinds of species that are around them, but they have never targeted that that talent or that predator-like behavior towards humans.
Despite the killer whale nickname, orcas are the largest species in the dolphin family, and no humans have yet to report major.
All right. No, they haven't killed any humans whatsoever. Well, to this day, haven't killed any humans. So that's the official PBS report, right? Now this is so I started doing some research because I'm curious as to why this is happening in the Straits of Gibraltar.
Yeah, like of all places.
All places. Why like one of the most strategic routes and as far as military significance is protecting the Straits of I mean, like the British lost half their navy trying to protect Straits of Gibraltar. Australians fought and lost their D-Day in World War I. Like their D-Day was at the Battle of Gibraltar. Like all this stuff is, Gibraltar is vitally important for Western military to have. And it's just sort of an odd thing that starting in 2020, you had these whales, these orcas, start just like attacking boats. And maybe it's like, well, I could definitely see the argument. Everyone I think likes the revenge argument, right? Like, it's someone got nicked and now it's like the mob family taking hits on the boats. Naomi thinks, I think it's the noise said boats are putting off, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Let's watch. I want you to watch what a little more information being shared than what was shared in that PBS attack. Let me see here if I can find it right here. Yep.
The killer whales sinking boats off the coast of Spain and Portugal. Turns out it's actually real. Killer whales are apparently teaching each other how to disarm a human boat by targeting the rudder, the thing that you need to navigate your boat. They target it and they rip it apart. It's been happening for a while. In 2020, there were 50 of these attacks. Last year, there were 200. Okay, what's really going on with the killer whales sinking boats off the coast?
It's a little different, right?
So it's like tripled since last year. He said that there's only 50.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Yes. And they're not just like bumping into the boats. Like they're going straight for the rudders.
So yeah, they know to follow the noise, and that's where they can disable it. Because it's if you disable the rudder, the rest of the boat is pretty much a sitting duck.
And what did the fisherman say? Or not the fisherman, but the guy that was transporting the boats. Remember what he said? They like visited him 2 or 3 times, and they were super gentle as soon as he shut off his boat.
So yeah, it's.
So if the boat's running, they're gonna go. I mean, there's some crazy. Let me show you some of these crazy videos of these orcas going after boats here. Let me see. Here's one. You see him coming in.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh dang! Like jolted that boat,
hitting them hard, right in the rudder. They're trying to break off the rudders. There it is again. Like 6 or 7 of them at each time. There's let me see if I can.
But as for the straits, so I mean that's where like it's kind of a choke point too, because if you're going from one place to another, that's where a lot of boats are going to congregate.
True. High traffic area.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I was going to show you some more of these TikTok videos of
one
let me see. I got some videos of some orcas attacking here that I mean, like you watch these videos, dude, and they're absolutely nuts. The amount of I mean, these boats are going full speed.
14 feet killer whales hunt down your boat at full speed.
Don't slow down.
Don't slow down. I mean, that's full speed, man.
Dang.
See? Going. Trying to bite off the rudders. But I mean, even like if you there's some where the divers hop down and they don't even mess with the divers. They don't care. Like, hey man, our beef isn't with you. It's with
that rudder.
It's with that rudder.
I don't get like the raft though. Like, is that something that they might be like playing with? Then is just that raft, and because you notice how they go after the raft too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
or are they just confused as to what that is?
I mean, they're part of the dolphin family, so I mean, it looks like they're playing with it right there. Well, and that's the thing. They're supposedly teaching. So anyway, I had a theory, and it was, well, maybe it has something to do with the sonar that the military's been working with, You know, I don't know, but I remember reading a report that they had practiced sonar, and it had disrupted the way whales had communicated with each other, and there ended up being just like thousands of whales that got beached on this island and died. And there's this, like big cover up. Now, I came across that article on accident, and so I started trying to find like where exactly it was like an actual story on it, and I could not find a single story on it. I'll show you here. So you can see my screen, right? So I'm reading all this, and like all the explanations are either it's revenge or they're just having a gay old time. And you sort of see where the Iberian coast is right there.
Yeah.
But this is sort of what I was, reading these stories about, like Gladys, and you can see how the stories sort of progress. So like as these stories are getting reported, there's just different approaches to the same event, but none of them are concrete. All they know is that it started in July 2020. It began the first report of orchestrated sledgehammer-like treatment, this ramming into the rudders of the boats. And now they've started sinking the actual boats, right? So that's new to this year. 250 boats are reported to have been damaged. So now what I think is sort of weird is in Shetland, Scotland, 1,750 miles away, 2 days ago, the same thing happened.
I wonder. Like, it seems to be right around the time when, like, well, I mean, the coronavirus came in, like, that's in 2020 as well. So if this is just coming out, I don't know. That's what made me think, like, I hope Corona doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, I even saw an argument for that was like the whales were mad because there was so little boat traffic. And now after,
they finally had peace and quiet.
But that doesn't make sense because this is, this starts in 2020, right? So, that's not enough time.
Yeah, and the traffic would be less around that time because more people are in their homes.
And so as I'm doing research on, because I'm thinking like, man, I just think it's sort of odd that now it's also happening in the North Sea, which is also a big military strategic area. So now you've got two different sets of, no way that these pods have communicated with each other. And you're getting the same results now in the North Sea where orcas are ramming boats out there. And so I start doing a little research and I find that this company, Bay Systems, who works with Northrop Grumman, the corporation, both make the sonar communications for submarines. And it was the same sonar that was used that disrupted these well pods back in the I think it was 80s or maybe a little before that killed all those whales. And so I start doing more research on like the sonar, and I come across, let me find this article here. The DARPA, which you know what DARPA is?
Yeah.
All right. So DARPA, the Advanced Weapons Program.
Yeah.
Where they do all this research and all that stuff. So DARPA, let me see if I can find where this article is. Give me a second here. So DARPA had started working with, so the research effort is called Persistent Aquatic Living Sensors, known as PALS. All right. Military tries out fish as underwater spies. Do you see the date on this?
March 2019.
March 29, 2019. The sophisticated sensing behaviors of marine organisms could serve as a surveillance system that aids national security. And so there's this agency that wants to do this, weird research on using sea life as their own sort of surveillance system using sonar. And they put the bid up for who wants to help build this after it's been engineered by pals. And the company that wins the bid between the 5 companies that put their bids in is Northrop Grumman. And they are, like I said earlier, all into the sonar and communication systems for the Navy. This is their website right here. Northrop Grumman, leader in maritime navigation. They bought the contract, or not bought, but they won the contract to create this system, PALS, which was later okay. And then there's underwater noise monitoring in the North Sea. They're trying these, supposedly trying these systems. So they win the contract in like November of 2019. And then in March, you start seeing orcas attack.
See, to me, that has more plausibility than really anything, because if the sonar affected them before, which death is a pretty hard thing to argue,
right?
And there's always a reasoning for the death, whether it's told to us like true or not, there's a reasoning behind it. And then it's interesting how the timing, the 2019, and then you think of the time on when if everything was approved and implemented and all the resources and everything were all set up and all that, it's like, okay, well, that does make that does make sense. Like to me it would still, it wouldn't tell me yes or no, like, but it would give me enough interest to keep going, with that research. Like, I think we have something here.
Here's a article from DARPA. And it's interesting to see the progression as far as like how the news stories, like looking back. If you take a look right here, DARPA wants to turn sea life into a giant submarine detection network. Entire species would be turned into living sensors designed to detect underwater vehicles. DARPA is embarking on an undersea submarine detection system. It's, of course, Pentagon Research and Development. They want to use everything from fish, shrimp, all this stuff to there's actual video right here.
Oh yeah, these things are crazy.
Just the sound.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's like they want to mimic that type of sounding and use animals in that sense, sort of as a passive sonar. And the persistent aquatic living sensors PALS program seeks to use sea life. So this would be the division that would be used to work for the Pentagon.
But see, what's to say that too far is too far? And what I mean by that is like geographically, right? So, you know, if we have something that is monitoring the waters, like what's too close to another country, and how do we define what's too close to American waters too? So to me, it's like, you know, well, the idea is neat. It brings in a whole nother line of questions, like, you know, what's too close, what's too far, like, you know, what are our boundaries, how are we going to set those boundaries? Like, you know, it's I see the idea, but it's, you know, at what point is, you know, what's too far?
Well, and I mean, it's just you know, there could be absolutely no correlation between the two, you know, whatsoever.
Right.
Could be just Gladys Knight and the Pips taking their revenge on all the people on yachts. I mean, that's possible too, right? They're capable of revenge. I think people would rather believe that than the other way around. But there has been research on how to use aquatic animals in warfare. And I mean, everything going on right now, yeah, I mean, put it past.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's happening in the North Sea too, like one of the whales call someone on a cell phone. You never guess what we did the other weekend, Gladys. It's great. It's like when panic rooms started. You know, is this the Wells panic rooms? Like they're just like, hey, let's go fuck with some boats.
Right. I just figured out how to destroy this boat. Come here. We need to get the word out.
Yes.
Like this is how.
Literally, Larry, you just gnaw on the rudder. That's it. That's on this little thing. Just hit it. It's great. These boats come with flashing lights, and everyone jumps onto that boat. But they said when they got onto safety rafts, whales didn't bother them at all. Just wanted the boat to stop.
Interesting.
So it's not the movement of the boat, you know, because like a safety raft would move, you know.
But some of those boats look like they weren't moving or weren't running either, though. You know, like because some of them, like a couple of those that you played, you know, it didn't look like there wasn't much, or at least the boat wasn't making much noise. I haven't been on a whole lot of yachts. I mean, the aircraft carrier I was on did make quite a bit of noise when it first started going. So I guess I don't know all these smaller boats how much noise that they actually make, but
yeah, I mean I guess any sound when you're in the middle of nowhere sounds pretty rough.
Yeah, but it didn't sound like, you know, it seemed like it was pretty calm, and they were still going after it.
Here's another one. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Family of orcas attacking a boat.
It would be crazy seeing a giant fish like that, like multiple of them would come up. Like, yeah. Like,
hey. Absolutely not. Spraying water into
okay, see, they took off then.
Yeah. Well, have you seen this video of them getting this seal?
Mm-mm.
Look at them, all 6 of them. They create this huge tidal wave.
Oh shit!
Knocks the seal right off the. Well, he's not right there, but he's trying to stay on for dear life. How creepy is that? Look at that. That's coming for your boat. Here's another, yeah.
Holy cow! It's like pushing the whole thing sideways.
Yeah. What happens if this is military intelligence? Like this, is what they're training them to do for when submarines try to cross into the Strait of Gilbraltar. I don't know, man. That's pretty crazy, huh?
That is. That would be scary. I mean, it'd be cool. To see
he's got the rudder right there.
Yeah. Dang. Thanks.
Second time it's happened to him.
Steer now, motherfucker.
Yeah. Yes. This music.
Hey, come here.
Hey, there he is. That's something else to see.
Yeah. Orcas are attacking and sinking.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
All right. Well,
that's crazy.
I thought that'd be worth a show. Talk about that. If anything, you know, if you ever hear the name Northrop Grumman.
I'm thinking, you know, how they scooped Willie up with the nets. You know, like they're evolving. They're getting better. Like try and hunt us now. Like
I still like the strategy that it's royalty checks have stopped coming.
Yeah,
makes the most sense.
Yeah, they got to keep them coming.
All right, everyone. We got Brad Olson coming on July 10th. So that's an exciting one. A lot of talk about some aliens with Brad Olson. But for right now, we need to figure out a day we can talk about the Las Vegas shooting.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
So I think we're gonna start doing some research on that. But until next time, everyone. Anything else, Clemens? Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
No, always
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. All right, everyone have a good rest of your evening. Happy Sunday.